Hello and welcome to another creative tutorial. Today we're going to be going over how to create these fun furry creatures in Adobe Illustrator. If you're new to our channel, please be sure to click on the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. Let's get started. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select our star tool. To locate your star tool, you should see either the ellipse or the rectangle tool here. You'll click and hold until you see a drop down menu and select the star tool. I'll click once on my document to bring up a pop-up window. Now radius 1 I have set to 25 pixels and radius 2 I have set to 50 pixels. What's most important here are your points. So I have my points set to 32. Make sure that you have your points set to 32 and click OK. You should have an image similar to this here. So I'm going to add a stroke just so we can see where our star is, but we're going to take off the stroke in just a minute. The next thing we're going to do is select our ellipse tool, and while holding the shift key I'm going to click on the document and drag out. We're going to add a gradient to this ellipse, so I'm going to select my gradient panel and I'm going to reverse this here so my white is on the right side. I'll double click on the black here, and you want to make sure that your panel is set to RGB. For our reds I have 230, for our green I have 43, and for our blue I have 123. When you have those values entered, you can X out, and we're going to just drag this stop over, and we're going to add a new stop here by clicking once right below the colors. And for this newly created stop, when we double click in there, we're going to add some new values in here. So we're going to add 138, 28 for our green, and 12 for our blue. Now you want to make sure that you change this over to radial, and you should have an effect similar to this here. So I'm going to zoom out a bit because we're going to apply this gradient to our star. So I'll drag this over here. I'm going to increase the size of the star. I'm going to take off the stroke, and using our eyedropper tool I'm gonna select the sample gradient that we just created. So it should have filled in your star layer, well, your star image. So I'll zoom in a bit, and we're gonna use our direct selection tool to round the points on our star. So you're gonna locate these little circular icons that are right by the points, and you're going to click and drag in a bit so you have something right about there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to press Control C and Control F on our keyboards to make a copy and paste it in front. With that copy, we're going to use our selection tool, and we're going to click and drag while holding the Shift and Alt key. We're going to drag it to the center, and you're going to make it really small so you have something like that there. We're going to zoom in and make sure it's the right size. Okay, that looks good. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight both images, and we're going to go into Object, Blend, and Blending Options. You want to make sure that your spacing is set to specify steps, and you have 100 steps as the option here. Your orientation should be aligned to path, and click OK. The next thing we're going to do is go back into Object. We're going to go into Blend, and you're going to select Make. So you should have an effect similar to this here. The next thing we'll do is go into Effect, and we're going to go into Distort and Transform, and we're going to select Pucker and Bloat. You want to have this set to -17%. You'll click OK. The next thing we'll do is we'll go back into the effects menu. We're going to choose Distort and Transform and select Roughen. In this setting, what we're going to add here is a size of 17%. We're going to make sure our detail is set to 0, and we're going to select Smooth for our points. When you have those settings, you can click OK. And now you should see that you're starting to get the effect here. I'll zoom back out a little bit. Now we're going to right click while we still have everything selected, and you're going to choose Isolate Selected Group. And now what you want to do is you want to click right in the middle and drag it up while holding the Shift key. So you should have something similar to this here. Now I'm going to click back one level and back to exit the isolation. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll select our sample gradient that we have over here on the side, and we're going to click and drag while holding the Alt key and place it into our document. We're going to select our gradient panel, and the middle stop that we have here, we can click and drag off to delete it. And we're going to double click on the left stop to bring up our color choice. And in the value, we're going to enter 94005B as in boy. You'll click enter. And we're going to change the opacity of our right stop to 0. So you click the drop down menu and select 0. And now we're just going to drag this one over a bit so we can darken the gradient and increase the size. And we're going to change the transparency to multiply. So you select your transparency tab and change it to multiply. And what we're going to do with this is drag it right in the middle here. So you should have an effect similar to this here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size a bit while holding the Shift and Alt key. I'm going to increase just a bit there. And I'm going to take this and click and drag while holding the Alt key and Shift key to make a copy. And I'll just reposition these so you have an effect similar to this here. Okay, we're going to group these two. So holding the Shift key, I'll click one and then click the other, right click and select group. The next thing we'll do is create the eyeball. So what I'm going to do is select my ellipse tool, and I'm going to create a gradient. So I'll double click on my left stop, and I'm going to bring up my swatches here, and we're going to choose the second gray from the right. We're going to bring the opacity back up on our white, so you select 100, and we're going to create an ellipse here. We're going to make it an oval shape so that it's similar to an eyeball shape. You should have something like this here, and we're going to reverse our gradient so that you have the white in the center and the gray around. The next thing you do is select your gradient tool, and we're just going to increase this size a bit. So I'm going to click and drag out so that I have something like this, and I'm going to just move it down over here. Maybe I'll make it a little larger so that it's something like that there, and we're going to rotate this way. So we want the light side coming from the right, and we're gonna have a darker left side. Just want to make sure that that's right. I think I just reset. There we go. I want to make certain. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm gonna take this this portion here, and we're going to press Control C and Control F on our keyboard, and we're gonna select our swatches, and we're gonna choose this blue here is R41, G171, and B226. While holding the Shift and Alt key, I'm gonna scale it down till I have something about right there, and we're gonna just move that over to the right. And the next thing I'm gonna do, in fact, I'm gonna move this up a bit. There we go. So you should have something similar to this here. So I'm gonna press Control C with my blue selected. I'm gonna press Control C and Control F once more, and we're gonna scale this one down as well. And we're gonna move this over to the right. And we're gonna change the color to black. I think that looks pretty good right there. We're gonna zoom in. Yeah, so we have to move the blue portion over a bit, so it's aligned with the outer portion of the eyeball. And we're gonna take the black portion and move that over a bit as well. Maybe up a bit too. I think that looks good there. We're gonna select our ellipse tool once more, and this time while holding the Shift key, we're gonna create a little circle. Here we go, and we're gonna change that to white. But before I do that, I'm gonna drag it into place so I can see what I'm working with. We're gonna place it right about here. We'll change that to white, and while holding the Alt key, I'm gonna click and drag down, and we're gonna scale this one down a bit. I'll move it down just a little and over to the left, and that should be good. I'm gonna click and drag to select all, and we're gonna right click and group our layers. I'm gonna right click once more, select transform, reflect. We're gonna select vertical, and we're gonna choose copy. You're gonna click and drag over so that you have the eyeballs similar to this here. Now we're gonna select all, click and drag over. We're gonna zoom out. Before we do that, right click and select group so that we can group the two eyeballs together. I'm gonna click and drag out. Well, I'm actually gonna press Control and minus on my keyboard to zoom out. And we're just gonna place the eyeballs in. I'll zoom in a bit. And with my selection tool, I'm gonna hold the Shift key and Alt key on my keyboard and scale down so that it fits within the shadow area that we created. The next thing I'll do is we're gonna make our nose. So I'm going to create a nose shape similar to this here, and we're gonna select this orange color here. So it's the third orange from the right, and with our With this selected here, we're going to use our mesh tool, and we're going to click once in the center here. And now we're going to select the orange that's all the way to the far right here, so that you have an effect similar to this here. We want that gradient on there, and I'm going to just drag my nose into place. The next thing I'll do is we're going to create a shadow. So I'm going to select my ellipse tool while holding the shift key. I'll click and drag out, and we're going to select our gradient and change it to black and white, and we're going to make sure that it's on radial, and we're going to hit reverse so that we have something like this here. You're going to double click on the white and lower the opacity to 0. With my selection tool, I'm going to click and drag down from the top. And now I'll just move this into place here, and we might want to increase the size a bit. Something like that there. I'm going to select all, and we're just going to move these to the center here. I'm going to select my rectangle tool, and I want to make sure that my smart guides are selected so I can really get the corner here, and we're going to click and drag out. We're going to select an orange color here, so maybe something similar to this here. I'll right click and send it to the back. Right click, arrange, send to back, so that you have something similar to this here. Now we can select our shadow, and we're going to change the transparency to multiply. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a highlight in the back. So I'll select my ellipse tool once more, and we're going to create from the center. We're going to click while holding the shift and alt key and drag out. And we're going to change our gradient to white. So I'll double click on my black, and we're going to change that to white. With my selection tool, I'm going to right click and arrange, send this also to the back, and I'm going to press Control and the right bracket key to bring it one step forward. The next thing I'll do is press Control F. With this gradient selected, I'm going to press Control F. Excuse me, I didn't mean to press Control F. We're going to press Control C to copy the gradient, and then press Control F to paste it. And we're going to select our gradient color. I want to make sure that we didn't have the nose selected. It looks like the nose was selected throughout this process here. Okay, so we'll do this real quick. I had the nose selected during that process of the gradient, and we don't want to have the nose selected. So we're just going to click while holding the shift and alt key and drag out to make a fairly large gradient. With my selection tool, I'll move that up into place. We're going to scale it down just a bit. There we go. Again, we're going to change the black to white. We're going to right click, arrange, send to back, and control right bracket key to bring it one step forward. We're going to press Control C and Control F to copy it onto the front of the gradient that we just created. And we're going to select our white, and I think we're going to change this to black for now, but it's going to be trial and error and see what we get. So I changed it to black, and we're going to go into transparency and change that to multiply. I don't like that color. We're going to change the color on the gradient to an orange color. We'll change it to a darker orange. And now we're going to scale it down and move it into place so we can create a sort of like a shadow effect. And now we're just going to move it up a bit so that we can get that shadow. Delete this, and there you go, guys. You have created the fun furry creature effect. If you're new to this channel, please be sure to click on the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. We're always looking for new content to upload. We're always looking to connect with you guys. So if you can leave us a comment in the comment sections below, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time. Thank you.